Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and while I'm anxiously awaiting my next box of DungeonSwag minis, so we can do an unboxing and start painting them, I'm pulling some doubles that were sent to me and some old minis I have that are from prints we don't do anymore or just stuff that I didn't do for whatever reason. So this is a throwback from one of our original Dwarf boxes a couple years ago, and I had a spare of him, so I thought I could do something cool with him. The last one I did more like a paladin. I think I'm going to do this one a little darker, maybe like a blackguard or something. So I'm going to start with this this black here. It's grim black. Grim. I need brushes. I got way too many brushes out here. I was doing something. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get his undergarments, and I'm going to do those in black first. And the reason is because I can come back later when I'm doing my metallics and pick out all these little studs. And I want this to be dry when I come to that point. And again, I did the first one kind of like a paladin, so he's wearing like light leather and shiny metal. And I don't want to do that with this model. Maybe not a blackguard, but definitely a more somber looking dwarf. Now, I'm even going to do his boots in black, and then come back and hit the metallic parts on those. And I'm going to leave those boots super dark. I don't know what I'm going to do with this hammer yet. I haven't come to that conclusion, but so he's got some flesh sticking out on his arms there. We're going to leave that hanging out. He's got fur up there, so let's hit his armor and leave his hair alone. Just trying to get the clothing parts at the moment. He unfortunately has a lot of beard and hair. His shoulder guard. Now he's got like a chain coif or something, or a scale coif coming out from under the back of his helmet. We're going to hit this with that too. And we'll come back to it with this later, and we'll just dry brush it with a darker metal to get the look we want. Go ahead and hit the back of that shield behind him. We want that dark. Come back and get the edges of that with metallic later. So we did a lot of that in darks, okay? And he's wearing gloves, and I think we want to do the same thing with his gloves. I probably need to get a little more paint there, but I'm not gonna. Alright. So his gloves are black. Let's get up underneath here a little better. Alright. So he's looking dismal and dark at that point. That's gonna have to dry, so let's clean out this brush and grab a crappy brush and start on the base. Pulling out craft paint for the base. Nice. She's a juicy one. I just came back from a trip to Ohio for work. It was nice. And I found out that the security guard where I was going is a D&D guy. He's been playing for 30-something years. And he predominantly plays an online game now. And it was really nice to meet another longtime role player. We talked briefly about old systems like the West End Star Wars, and it turns out they were playing D6 West End Star Wars just recently, and we talked about GURPS, and it was awesome. I shouldn't get so excited, but I just do, because I feel like the older role players like me that only knew the time of tabletop are starting to become less and less common, and that this new generation of young gamers is kind of taking over. And that's okay, because everything has its time. Our time is over. I understand that. But we can still have a lot of fun. We can still teach new people some of the old ways when we get a chance. Now, I put that on pretty thick. That might not dry quickly. But it is what it is. Yeah, I need like a whole other cloth down here. Hold on. I need a whole other cloth just to wipe my face. It's so hot. Alright, got an old Pokemon t-shirt here. It just got donated to the cause because they outgrew it and it was not in good enough shape to give away. Alright, so we're starting to see that black kind of drying up there. Let's see if we can't do something with that shield. We want to darken that up, but we don't want to go black with that. So I have this Gravelord Gray. Oh, I used way too much there. That sucks. We wasted some. That's alright. We want to get in there in all the cracks and on those straps. We want to go a little thick with this, right? Nice. That's going to take a while to dry, and that's okay. I think we're going to hit this hammer with that. Nah, we'll wait. We'll wait for the hammer. We'll do the rock with this. And we'll come back and do that rock with some other stuff later, too. And it's okay if you touch the brown a little bit and pull a little brown up onto the rock. Doesn't have to be perfect, dudes. Perfection is not a prerequisite of enjoyment. But I think he's going to turn out sick. Alright, so next step, I would say his helmet doesn't really expose any of the flesh on his face. We need to get in those eye holes, maybe. We could probably just leave those. Yeah, let's go with our metallics. So I have this gunmetal gray. You see me use this a lot if you watch. If not, this is just an army painter gunmetal. It's nothing, you know. Let's get that helmet. Now the horns on his helmet, I have no desire to make those metal. So we want to try not to put metal on them now. I love it when a good plan comes together. Still don't sound like Liam Neeson. Alright, I have too much paint on there and I'm covering up some of the detail on that helmet. So we're going to have to come by and wipe that off. Because what will tend to happen is when we come back and do a speed paint over this, we want that to get in those cracks. So let's just get that extra paint out of there. Alright, so we know that these ring things on his shoulders are silver. And his hammer is probably silver. We don't want to go overboard on that with the paint on this hammer because there's a lot of detail in there. Let's see if you can tell, but there's quite a bit of detail in the hammer itself, and we want to try to maintain some of that if we can. If you're a little thick on here, you can either wipe some off or you can spread it around. It'd be okay either way. And I think I usually do wood on the handles of these, so I think I'm going to stick with that wood handle, even though metal handle could work very well on this mini, because he's like kind of a badass and he likes punching faces, kicking nuts. Okay. Alright, so we have some flesh, we have hair, and we have a lot of lightning stuff to do. So I think we can safely come in here and start hitting some of these studs. Alright, I'm not doing well. My hand must be shaking worse than usual. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back with that Grey Lord. And we're going to go back in over top of these studs and make it look nice again. Otherwise, this is going to look like dog butt. Alright, we're just going to do that then since I'm coming back in with the Grey Lord. Just make sure we get decent coverage on these studs. We just want them to look nice. But we want it to look, you know, consistent too. Alright, let's rinse out our brush and go to his skin tone on his arms. We'll let that silver sit for a second and we'll come back over it with the Grey Lord. So let's get this, like I said, I only have the one tone of flesh here, and that's Crusader skin. But I always come back over skin with and get multiple tones out of it with regular paint. That's a lot of paint. I used way too much. All right. He's starting to look like he means business. Alright, so... Oh, I missed a little bit of metal on the horn there where it comes up. Just a little bit. Where's the seam of that horn end? Right there. Is that one the same way? Yep, sure is. Okay. Let's clean that up. Alright. So, we have his hair, his like ponytail things. We have his horns. And we have a lot of other touch-up work to do. That back's still not even close to dry because I made that really damp. I used a lot of paint there. That's okay, I was going for that look. Alright, so... we're going to need to do something with these horns. So let's get the pallid bone speed paint here. I used a lot. I'm hurrying. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not trying to ruin this mini, but this is not going as fast or smooth as I had hoped. Alright, let's do something about that handle while we're here. Let's get a medium brown. I have that, I can't remember what it's called, leather or something? Hardened leather, there we go. We're going to get a slap of that hardened leather. Boop. Hopefully there's a big bubble in that. Oh, there is, good. Okay. Yeah, I think he's going to look pretty cool, man. Alright. That silver on his armor is probably dry. So let's get some of that Gravelord gray we had left over. And just drag that down through there and on top of that metal. Just on those straps there. We can go a little thick with that. It won't hurt anything. It'll take longer to dry, but it's all good. Alright, so now we have to worry about the hair. And I think the smart plan here for that hair would be to do any of the dry brushing or stuff we're going to do to his helmet first. So let's get a really thin amount of this Gravelord Gray. And let's just darken up the metallic of that helmet a little bit. I used way too much there. That's okay. We'll just spread it around. Make sure you get it in those eye holes. There we go. Let's darken up his hammer with the same thing. Remember, we're going to make it real thin, and we're just darkening the metallic. We're not really trying to get the whole speed paint effect. We just want it to soak down in the cracks and darken the metal. And this is why it's important on these parts that we didn't use too much speed paint, or I mean too much silver, because we didn't want to hide any of this detail if we could avoid it. We just want to be able to soak it down to these little details and cracks. Just get a little bit down in there so we can kind of show off Sven's art. A little something for the kids there. So this dude's already got a pretty sick grimdark look. I'd like to find a way to keep that can't think English, that white for his hair. We can do that, but it can't be just white. We got to come back over it with something else to kind of give it a little onion. I'm going to darken up that rock a little more with this while I have it out. Right. Now everything needs a second to kind of dry here. So I don't have a white speed paint, but I do have a white contrast paint from Games Workshop. I'm not an enormous fan of it, but we're going to try it on this guy. But first we're going to have to do some touch-up stuff. So let's get black and go around our base and give all this stuff going on here a second to calm down. Dry up something. And get a cheap brush. Cheapy shitty brush. Excuse my French. Let's nail some of this outer edge. Wherever we don't have any of the dirt, we're just put a nice even thin coat. Oh, that's not it. There we go. I'd like to give a shout out to the people up in Erie. My two youngest sons will be going up there with my parents this weekend to Presque Isle. They'll be going to Waldemere Park where they have a season's pass and riding some rides and hanging out with all their buddy lake friends. I don't know if any of you guys have been campers that go to the same place and camp all the time, but you definitely make like you have your camp friends that are at the campground or wherever, and then you have your home friends. And it gives you a chance to be a little brave and a little fun and meet new people when you go to a place like that, because you don't see them all the time. And it gives your kids a chance to kind of come out of their shell a little bit and experiment with how bold they want to be. And it's a nice thing. I was very fortunate, even though we were not wealthy growing up. My parents always made money so we could have, vacations, and as I got older we had a campground that we went to, and it was really nice. And I think that's super important to give that opportunity if you can. Now if you can't, don't get down on yourself. We are all in different conditions, you know what I mean? We've all been able to provide different amounts of lifestyle, and we all make different money, and we all are different ages, and we're all in different places on our journey. So I don't want anybody to feel down because you are not in the same place as the guy to your left or right, or the girl to your left or right. Now we're just picking out some of this hair spots, so when I come back with that white contrast paint, it does what we want on this hair. So any other little colors we got in there, we just got to get a thin rub of this white on the outer coats to pick that out. See, I got a little bit right there of the black. We need to bring that out. A little bit of metal on there. All right, cool. Cool, 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 cool. All right, I think his hair is pretty much back to its normal color. Let's get under here a little bit better. Man, I kind of want to just leave it like that. Let's zoom in and take a look at that hair. I could do those little braids. Man, this is awesome, being able to zoom in and see what the heck I'm doing. Come in and do those little braids. And maybe just leave that white, because I think it looks sick. I wish you guys could tell me what we should do here. All right, enough of that. We gotta let that white dry. We're gonna come back and hit it with the whitewash. We can't just leave it. Let's get this metallic here. Let's spread it around a little bit and get a lot of it off the brush. Let's hit that scale mill or whatever that is on his back of his helmet. Just with a little bit of boom, a little bit of metal. And then we have this on his gloves here, the rims. We're going to do that on those too. We're not painting it, we're just kind of hitting it with some of the silver. Not painting at all. Just getting some silver on it. We're going to hit the tops of his boots in the front here. A little bit on the sides. A little bit of that metal. Now we're going to come back to his back. The shield should be mostly dry. It's getting there. It's what we wanted. Alright. Get a slice of cardboard here real quick. Just so we can do some dry brushing. Get a crappy brush. Like a shitty brush we can dry brush with. Grab that, some of that silver. Let's wipe some of that off. Let's hit this shield up. And we'll get rid of that brush and get our good brush back. And let's paint around the edges of the shield and get it all silver. We're about ready to finish our our sci-fi campaign in a couple weeks here, and I'm getting ready to run the first Tomorrow Comes Doom fantasy campaign, and I'm fleshing out the last final rules before the playtest. Getting pretty nervous. The sci-fi playtest went really well. So let's hope that I have fleshed out the rules enough for a successful playtest. See, the goal when I go into these playtests is really that I don't go over 40% of it needing changed. I would say if I get to the point where a lot of rules don't mesh or new systems I've implemented don't mesh, and we get to this spot where I have to change over 40% of how it works, then it's back to the drawing board. And that's only happened on the original Tomorrow Comes Doom, the first one I did. I learned so many lessons about that system's problems that, which I never made it to with any intent of sharing it with anybody outside of my circle. You know, when I did this, I did it hoping to just for my friends and my family, you know, people I D&D with. So now that I have other people interested in it and it's going somewhere, I gotta kind of take it more seriously, I guess you could say. Alright, let's get that hair now. I think we're at that point. Let me wash off this brush because I don't like leaving metallics in there very long. Alright, the hair. So, this is that contrast paint. It's called Apothecary White. It's by Games Workshop. I have had problems with this not being consistent and not liking how it coats or lacks of coating. So let's hope that I can get it on here and make it look nice, evenly and good. Now, I'm not calling this a bad paint. What I'm saying is it may or may not be good for my style or how I use these kind of contrast and speed paints. I will be honest with you, I see other people, I do watch some videos here and there when I have free time, and I see other people paint, and I know I don't paint like everybody. I understand that. So if you see me using a product and you think I'm using it wrong, well, it's because I might be. So let's let that start to dry, and let's come back and change that ground up some. I think Snakebite Leather or Snakebite Tan. Snakebite Leather. That is like the one Games Workshop contrast paint that I really think is really, really good. Like, I've used it doing like some, shoot, I can't even do English today. Ogres. And it turned out pretty well. But I will say, oh, I used way too much there. I've had better. Oh, that's the wrong color. Alright, you can't really see those colors. Let me slide them down. So, I just have some Monster Brown, some Mummy Robes, no, Skeleton Bone, I'm sorry, and some Dark Stone here. And I'm just going to get that Dark Stone and grab a little bit of that and just touch this rock with it some. Not painting the whole thing, just kind of coating it in most of the spots. Not looking for a perfect cover. Alright, then I'm going to mix some of this in with that. Okay. And we're going to just start touching some spots on the ground. And when that dries, because dirt is not all one color, guys. If you go outside and you pick up some dirt and you look at it and you take a picture of it, for example, and bring it up on paint, you will see that it's not all one color. Now we're just going to get a little bit of this skeleton and a little bit of that. We're going to make kind of a grayish brown. And we're going to wipe a lot of that off. We're just going to touch a few different spots we didn't hit before. Let's make the ground some different colors. And we're going to touch some of that rock and maybe a couple spots. Lighten that up a little bit. Alright. I think we can wipe even more of that off and do something with this handle. There we go. Bring that handle alive. Ooh. Bling. Alright, so the beard is starting to look nice. The hair is looking nice. I have to do some touch-up work on his antler or horns. And I'd like to add a little green to the base. I do think we need to come back and do something with that skin. I don't know how much I want to commit to that. So we might end up ignoring that. Is that the flesh tone? Yep. Alright, hold on. Let's move this over a little bit. Oh, I'm zoomed out. That's why I can't see what I'm doing. Alright. I was wondering why you couldn't see stuff that you could see before. Alright. Let me get that flesh, or that bone, pallid bone color again. I'm just going to steal a drop of that real quick over here on the side and hit his helmet horns up with it. Where I messed up. Got a little silver on them. And then doing a little extra of that around the bottom where it touches the metallic is okay. Give it a little bit of a darker. So I think that white came out nicely. But we need to worry about these little braid things, or whatever, I don't know what they're called, like ribbons or beads on his braid. And I'd like those to be kind of contrast to what we've done here. And I know that white's not dry yet. So what we could do is we can get some flesh tone here. We're not going to use the flesh tone. Let me get a fractional brush. So fractional brushes are very tiny. That is a fractional brush. We're just going to take some of this skeleton color here. We're just going to take a little dip of that in the dark of his helmet. Just so you can tell there's flesh in there. It's not going to be the nice pinky normal flesh, but it's going to be flesh. And then it didn't come out very good because it was dark, so we're going to hit it one more time. Sometimes if you can't get in there to flip it upside down, I'm going to get a little bit of that silver and clean that up, antler up. Okay, nice. All right, we're going to keep the fractional brush to do the beads. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a drop of this greedy gold metallic. And we're going to get a drop of this weapon bronze. And we're going to do the beads. Or whatever, you know, the little things that make the hair hold in place. Brett's, I don't know. I'm not a hair guy. If my wife were down here, we could ask her, but I just don't know. Oh, you guys can't see because I was zoomed in. I am so damn sorry. So all I was doing was making a little ring on either side of these little bead things, and I zoned out. So me zoom that. Oh, I did something crap. Now I'm ruining the whole video. Drenched in sweat. We're going to let that sit for a moment. While we do that, let's get a little bit of glue. Clear glue. Crappy brush. And we're just going to put where we want there to be a little bit of grass. Or a little bit of green. I don't need any on the back there. Flack. Just something to break that up and make it a little more interesting. Nothing too fancy or spectacular. Just to give it a, you know, to show that he's out in the wilderness, risking his life and limb to adventure. Let me wipe the sweat off my head so it doesn't drip in my eyes anymore. Alright. Now we're going to take that copper, or whatever that first color was there. Fractional brush, really tiny brush. We're going to come back in here and color in the rest of that bead. And then the last step, we're going to touch up that arm flesh. Oh, I'm a liar. I forgot. There's a couple things I need to do. Alright, before we do the arm flesh, he's got like these leather straps on his shield. So we're going to go back to the starter brush, which is really small and fine. And we're just going to take this dark stone here. We're going to get a little bit of that and see what it looks like on there. See how it looks. Nice. I think that's going to look alright when that dries. Let's see, because that dries a little dark. We might hit it with a really, like a watered down brush full of the Monster Brown too. Just to kind of give it a little, oh yeah. I think that white actually turned out pretty good in his beard and stuff. Alright, so where his pant legs come down right there. I'm just making a lighter gray. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. I'm just going to kind of drag that along there just to show that he's got some different layers of color on him. I really don't want to paint that. I just want to hit it up so it looks lighter. And then this little teeny sliver of cloth in the middle, we want to drag that on there too and just give that a little bit of different color tone. Alright, let's get those arms. Yes, my wife did have more of this masking tape up there, so I lucked out. For my flesh, I'm going to use this tanned flesh here. 1 drop of that. And I'm going to use 1 drop of this mummy or skeleton bone. It's got like a brownish to it. And we're going to find a happy tone to base down on for his arms. So something like that. Definitely. All right, let's wipe a lot of that off. Let's come over his arms. There we go. We're not painting the whole thing, so we got the basic color of his arms where we want them, right? We just want to make sure that we don't have any weird transitions in muscles, and that we cover up any little spots we hit with other things while we are working. Now to make those muscles a little more gooder and get that tan, or that whatever, this skeleton bone or whatever the heck it is, we're just going to bring it down a little bit. You can see the original color we used there, so we just want to come down just a tiny bit from there, and we want to wipe a lot of that off. Okay, and we're just going to hit the top really good. And we just want to kind of drag it over the muscles so they share a common tone. Much gooder. So we could go in and do some little stuff here and there, but I'm pretty happy with him. I am going to come back here. I think I'm going to do what I said. I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to water it down. I'm going to grab some of that monster skin, or monster brown, with my wet brush. Oops. I'm going to send that out some, and I'm just going to drag that along here. I'm just going to drag that on these straps. Not perfectly, you're not hitting every spot, just dragging it along a little bit here and there. So when that dries, that should change up that color a little bit more. I think he's looking pretty sick. I'm not sure if white was the way to go with that hair, but I'm pretty pleased with them. I noticed I got a little, right here, I got a little bit of flesh tone on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some dark gray, this necromancer cloak here, just a little dot of that. Get my starter brush, grab that, and we're going to use that same color to go around and cover up any little things I don't like. Anywhere where I'm not super pleased with what's going on. And actually, I can't complain. I'm pretty pleased with what's going on here for the most part. Alright, so there we go. Took us about 45 minutes or so. But this was one of the original dwarves, and now he looks like a, grim dark badass. He's like he could be a blackguard or whatever you wanted, really. I'm going to let my players use him for what they want, or I'm going to use him as a bad guy. Maybe he's a fallen dwarven king who is trying to redeem himself by taking a new kingdom, but he's taking it by force. Alright, I'm going to take some time here to let him dry thoroughly, and then I'm going to hit him with a clear coat, and then we'll take him upstairs and get some thumbnails. Thanks for watching. If you like the miniatures, if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out the website and the Discord. We're pretty much available on the Discord in the evenings and the weekends, but not always. And the website's always up. Feel free to buy some minis. There's a monthly loot box. It has 5, 6, 7, 8 minis in it, and they're a theme usually. And then there's one-offs for sale on there, and we're adding more one-offs all the time. So thanks for checking us out. I hope you have an awesome day. Be safe. Be blessed.